February 12th, Night 13, Unlimited Blade Works versus Berserker. I don't feel too great about these alliance negotiations of a title like that. Right into a fucking interlude immediately. She's alone with her thoughts in the darkness. It had been a day since she attacked the church and killed the priest. It had been a day since she declared that she can find it no matter where it may be hidden, if it exists. It may not be the case for other servants, but there is no way someone versed in magic like her would not be able to find a relic as holy as the Holy Grail. And there's only one answer. The Holy Grail was never hidden in this church to begin with. She sighs and puts her fingers on her temple. When she closes her eyes, heavy darkness assails her body. No, it is just a scream. It is not coming from outside. The scream comes from her body and mind, telling her that her fatigue is at its limit. It has been a month since she was summoned. Since then, she has done her best to win. Her master is an ordinary person without a magic circuit, and she is the weakest of the servants. To make up for that, she abused forbidden magic. Collection from the people, the magical strings she placed throughout the town, and the control of the ley line using sacrifices. These are all reasons why she was called a witch during her life. But she was never used them before. She should have never used them, and she did not intend to do the forbidden. So, why did she end up using them for a meaningless conflict like this? She became a heroic spirit to take revenge, but she also knows it is meaningless to use the skills that labeled her a witch. She only used trivial magic. She only created disasters that caused people to destroy themselves with their own greed. That was all the revenge she could manage, so what caused her to stray from her path so much? That's fair. That is a lie. Okay. She knows the true identity of the Holy Grail. She already knows what that thing is and why servants like her are summoned. It is true that most wishes can be granted using the Holy Grail that appears in this town. It will allow her to stay in this world with physical form, and it will allow her to start a second life as a human. But saying so, she closes her eyes. She empties her mind. For now, she lets her guard down and rests her mind. She hears the sound of rain. It was a night without moonlight. The surroundings were pitch black, and she wandered with an empty mind. It is where she met him. With blood-stained body and frozen limbs. A chance meeting that was more miraculous than any miracle. It was the mountain where the Ryoto Temple is located. Falling rain. She was stumbling aimlessly through the dense forest. She left behind a trail of blood. In her hand was a dagger that breaks all contracts. Her purple robe was wet with rain, and her limbs had turned white with winter cold. She staggered around, holding on to the trees for support. She walked on, dirty with mud, her breath ragged, reaching out her hand as if begging for help. She did not look like her usual self, filled with cool composure. No, even the amount of magical energy was unlike her. She was exhausted. She only had a handful of power left. For a servant, magical energy is like a lifeline that allows them to stay in this world. But that was all lost. No magical energy was coming from her master. But that was only natural. She just killed her own master. That makes... Oh, okay. This all makes a lot of sense now. That was the cause of her exhaustion. She, Servant Castor, was about to disappear alone as compensation for obtaining freedom. A dry laugh. It is funny that her body was not able to maintain itself and that she betrayed her vulgar master. Moreover, it's quite amusing to see how badly she had underestimated the relationship between servant and master. She had done well. Her master was a legitimate magus. He was in his 30s, had a medium build, and had a few noteworthy characteristics. He had no will to fight, but dreamed of victory. He was a man that only waited for the other masters to kill each other. Man had not trusted Castor. He treated Castor coldly, as she was a superior magus, and he insulted her for being inferior to other servants. She gave up on him after a few days. She acted as an obedient servant, filled the man's conceit. In short, she made him use his command spells for meaningless things. She told him he did not need the command spells. She made him believe that she would be faithful to her master even without the command spell. It was his fault for believing in her. Master used the third command spell for a meaningless thing and was killed by Castor at the moment. It was easy. She didn't like the fact that the contract with him still existed, so she killed him using the rule breaker. But she had made a mistake. Servants exist using the supply of magical energy provided by their masters. But not just magical energy. Servants are only allowed to exist in this age by being connected with people of this age. In other words, to lose one's master, the passport to this age, means being forced to return to the outside world. But she would not normally be this exhausted. This was the curse her master had left her. Her master did not approve of her, and she was a better magus than he was. Therefore, he limited her magical energy to always below his level. The magical energy of a mere human cannot keep a servant in this world. She would normally be able to stay in this world for 2 days after losing her master. But now she was different. Her magical energy was drastically decreasing with every second, and the end was near. Probably a few more minutes. She would disappear if she could not find her next master in that time. She would disappear before she could fight. Unable to do anything, she would be a pitiful servant summoned only to be trampled on. It was vexing. It was vexing, but it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It's always been like this for her. She was treated unreasonably like this all the time. She was always used as a tool, and she was never understood by anyone. Yes. Her life was always controlled by someone else. Her mind was destroyed at a young age to save a hero chosen by the gods. Just for the sake of that hero, the goddess of beauty happened to favor. The goddess cursed her to blindly love a man she had never seen. The girl betrayed her father, and she was even forced to betray her own country. There's no memory after that. After everything was over, the girl, who was a princess, was in an unfamiliar country. The girl that betrayed her father, the king, for a man. A witch that cut apart her own brother and threw the pieces into the sea to escape her native country. And the man who wanted it done cast her aside in order to become king, saying he could not marry a witch. She was controlled and taken to an unknown country, was marked as a witch, and the only person who she could rely on threw her away. That is her origin. There is nothing people can blame her for, and people around her were all aware of that. But still, people continue to demand for her to be a witch, and evil to protect the king, and evil to be on the receiving end of evil superstitions. People wanted a convenient scapegoat that they could blame for any disaster. This pattern has never changed. People demand easily understandable evil to reassure themselves of their own goodness. In that regard, she was the perfect sacrifice. The father she could rely on was in a distant country. Nobody defended her, and people gladly blamed her for all the ugliest things in the world. They decided that every ugliness was the witch's doing, that they are poor, that they hate others, that humans are ugly, and even that people die. So she merely accepted it. Since she could only live as a witch, she decided to live like a witch. She swore to show them the ugliness of the wishes they demanded of her. If people do not know their ugliness, so be it. They can stay ignorant, go to hell for their own crimes, and suffer forever. They won't be able to get out of hell. They will suffer forever as criminals because they do not know what crimes they have committed. That is the reason for existence she imposed on herself. That is the only role people gave to the girl, to the one called the witch, who never had free will. But nobody actually wished for such a thing. The same goes for her as well. She seeks revenge against her will, without having any wish for herself. Yes. Until she met with the stranger. A rustling sound. She peered ahead, even though she was barely able to stand. It's midnight. Who could possibly come into the forest at this time? It was a heavy voice. She did not have the composure to check who it was. She just thought it was all over. She had no power to use magic. Her purple robe might have looked like a coat, but she was covered in blood. A woman covered in blood was hiding in the rain. It is obvious what such a person did. Anyone would run away first. What would they do after that? They would either call the police or pretend they hadn't seen it. It did not matter to her, as she could no longer move. That caused the last of her spirit to give out. Her last moment was cold and lonely, just as it was at the end of her true lifetime. Or so she thought. When she regained consciousness, she was in that place. In front of her is that man, the man who she met in the woods. Those were his first words. When she watched the man with blank amazement, the tone of his voice never changed. That was her first encounter with her master, Kazuki Soshiro. Kazuki was a strange man. Should he be called a ghost? He had no reason to live, but had no reason to die. He was just there, and since he existed, he followed whatever whim took him. That he was just there is the entire embodiment of the man with Sprite energy. He's just there. There's no reason to live. There's no reason for him to die. He's just there. He has no self. That was her first impression of him, and she thought it would be easy to turn him into a puppet. She grew to realize that the thought was a mistake. Suzuki Soichiro does not have a past. He has no self because he has no past. But it does not mean Kazuki Soichiro is empty. Kazuki was a sincere man. He easily accepted her when she told him that she wanted him to be her master, and when she told him about her true identity.
このような話を信じるのですか?
When she asked him,
今のは嘘なのか?
he replied, he accepted it as if she told him. He accepted it after she told him it was the truth. The most amazing part was the night they met. As she was about to disappear, she told Kazuki to lay with her. After making a difficult expression. Oh no! Let me ask, do you want it rough or gentle? After that, he made love to her without waiting for her to reply. To put it his way, they had sex before the Buddha. It seemed rough like Asura, but it also seemed gentle like Parashtiva. Either way, the contract was completed. She obtained a new master, was able to stay in this world, and return to her role of being a witch. She still considers it to be a miracle. She would have disappeared before she woke up if she wasn't taken to the Ryoto Temple. The Ryoto Temple is a demonic place for servants, but it is a perfect summoning place once inside. As the Ryoto Temple is surrounded by a boundary field, it is suited for keeping anything inhuman. She was able to remain without disappearing because she was brought to the Ryoto Temple. Had it been any place else, she would have vanished after being taken there. As a result, she obtained the best ley line and the best protection. She easily occupied the Ryoto Temple, figured out the mechanisms of the Holy Grail, and summoned Assassin as the fifth servant. But such things are trivial matters. She was certainly lucky on that night. Many miracles saved her, and she is now on the verge of victory. But they do not deserve thanks. She would have been fine with it even if those miracles had not occurred. There's only one important fact. A very small matter that is trivial for anyone else. For her, the fact that she was able to meet Kazuki Soshiro is a miracle beyond belief. Damn, Caster. What? But it's not going well. No, she feels that everything she does is not going well. Her master will not be delighted with what she did. He has never had an interest in the Holy Grail. She would do her best to grant any wish of his, but Kazuki Soshiro has none. No one wants this thing. Not a single person in the world. No one wishes to obtain the Grail. How is it like this? It's insane. One-sided relationship. They do not get along well. It is not going well at all.
ミイラ取りがミイラになったか。希代の魔女というのも案外脆いものだな。
Mummy Hunter. She turns to the intruder. It's not her master that is standing there. His knight in red archer, with his true identity still unknown.
アーチャー、あなたには外の見張りを任せたはずですが。
ああ、それがな、ざっと見たところ、周囲に敵という敵がいない。
それはそうでしょうね。私たちの敵はバーサーカーだけよ。それもセイバーさえ陥落すればこちらから撃って出るだけ。あなたが私たちに寝返った時点でもう敵なんていないのよ。あなたもそれが分かっていたからこそこちらに着いたのではなくて。
さて、どうかな。私はあのマスターと契約を切りたかっただけとは思わないか。あのマスター以外なら契約者は誰でもよかったと。
There is some truth in Archer's words. But what does it mean? Archer has no intention of betraying, but betrayed his master only because he wanted to break his contract with Sakarin.
そう。小娘のおもりはごめんということ。確かに私たちサーバントは 総じてマスターに不満を持つわ。あなたが愛想を尽かすのも当然でしょうね。
いや、召喚者として彼女は完璧だった。ただ少しばかり狂いが生じただけだ。それとキャスター、一つ忠告しよう。あらゆるサーバントが君と同じだとは思わないことだ。少なくともセイバーとバーサーカーは主に不満を抱いてはいなかった。正しい英雄というものはね、正しい人間にしか刺激できないものなんだ。
何を今さら。ねじ曲がったマスターだからこそねじ曲がった英霊を呼ぶ。そのようなことあなたに言われるまでもないわ。
That is right. Servants are determined by their summoner. Summoners with dark shadows in their mind cannot summon heroic spirits who are on the side of light. In that regard, she and Ryder are not heroic spirits. A twisted master called for twisted heroic spirits. As Ryder was one that was beautiful, and she was also one that was pure, it is ironic how the servant caster summoned is a fictional hero.
しかし考えてみればおかしな話だな。君やライダーは英霊に敵対するものだろう。にもかかわらずサーバントとして選ばれている。まあ聖杯には善悪の区別はない。力のある人間霊なら誰であろうと組み上げるということか。
いいえ、本来そんな英霊としての側面もあるものなんて混ざり物は選ばれない。この戦いがおかしくなったのは3度目からよ。それまでは私やライダーのような英霊は呼ばれなかった。
Fascinating. That does not concern her now. She's not concerned about the true identity of the Holy Grail. Servant Caster's mission is to win this war. She's not interested in what comes after. No, to be honest, that is not the end she wishes for.
無駄話はここまでよ、アーチャー。持ち場に戻りなさい。あなたが何を考えているかはどうでもいいわ。あなたはすでに私のサーバント。その命は私の手の中にある。
了解した。では従順なサーバントらしく主の期待に応えるとしよう。
The Knight in Red goes up the stairs. Seeing him off silently, Caster lets out a long sigh. One more day until Saber surrenders. She does not have the Holy Grail yet, but she will approach the end once Saber falls. What will happen when the war ends? Caster will make every wish come true with her powers. It is not bad to live as a witch, like she swore before dying. But the reason will go away once the war ends. Even if she still has the will, her master will lose the reason to stay as her master.
あと少しで聖杯はこの手に収まる。
Caster gracefully reaches out into empty space. Her hard work is about to be rewarded, but her expression is like that of a criminal about to be executed. No more dancing around it. Medea. You don't need to see me read the details, but I did look up some stuff on her in the downtime. So I have a pretty good idea of what the actual myth around her is. I saw many corpses. I died at that time and was reborn. I do not have any regrets. My eyes lost hatred there. My hands lost anger there. My legs lost hope there. My self lost itself there. Everything went away. Not because I gave up that I believed nothing would save me. I just found out that it's natural. It's just that dying people will die and survivors will survive. I laid down on the rubble and stared at the burning field. I understood everything then. I thought I understood everything, but I still considered it. How wonderful it would be if I was able to save everything here. That's what I admired. I just wished nobody would have to suffer. That's why I tried to become a superhero. It was simple, and it seemed like an ideal existence. It's why I aimed for it. I knew where I had to be, but there were many ways to get there. Kept on running, wanting to get as close as to it as possible, even though I did not know what was right or wrong. Many paths I took were crooked, and my destination was only getting farther away. I'm taking the long way. I've been repeating this for 10 years since I got saved by Kiritsugu. But I won't regret it. I'm not as skillful as Tosaka. I will take the wrong path and lose a lot of things at times, but I cannot discard them as meaningless. I have to present meanings for everything that I've trampled upon and everything that cannot be returned. So I cannot lose. Can't be helped if I lose against someone else. But I can win against myself. I can always fight back against my mind that tells me to give up. So that's all I swore upon. There's only one thing that I believed in and wanted to believe in. That's right. Even if I'm walking down the wrong path, I will not regret believing in it. I wake up from the light shining in. Before 6 o'clock, the sky I can see through the window is a clouded one. I get ready and leave my room. My body feels well, and there isn't much pain from my wound. I shouldn't be a burden to Tosaka, even if we end up fighting. What is this? Since when? I'm ready, but Tosaka has transformed.
何よ、地雷踏んで動けなくなった新兵みたいな顔して。まだ準備できてないの？
いや、そうじゃなくて、父さんがなんか変じゃないか。
は？ああ、これ。細かい作業の時にかけるだけだから気にしないで。
Well, I guess it's alright if you say so. What kind of magic is it? It looks so wrong and yet so right.
いい？私たちが向かうのは郊外の森。町からはるかに離れた市街。まだ人の手が入っていない広大な樹海よ。長年人間の介入を拒んできただけあって、森は深くて広いわ。年に何人か何の準備もなしに踏み込んで遭難したって話知ってるでしょ？
I nod silently. Our destination is the Eidensburn Villa that is said to be somewhere in the forest. Our fate will be sealed the instant our negotiations fail and we end up fighting. We won't be able to call for help, and it will be difficult to run away. We cannot escape the forest unless we defeat the giant berserker.
じゃあ、そろそろ行きましょう。徹夜して場所に当たりはつけといたから、うまくすれば半日ぐらいで見つけられるはずよ。とりあえず国道までは車を使うから、タクシー代用意しといて。
She starts walking with a big bag in her hand. I follow her with the usual Shinai bag in mine. But Tosaka, money for the cab is fine, but does that mean we'll be walking back on the way home? We're not coming back, man. Ooh, this is nice. We rode the taxi for an hour from the town. We drove on the highway and passed many mountains and reached the entrance to the forest. Of course, the forest does not have any paved roads. We finally reached the entrance to the forest after walking about 1 kilometer from the highway. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I get nervous once I actually face it. The forest is dark even though it's daytime. Tall branches block off the sunlight, and it's hard to see more than a few meters ahead, let alone to the end.
ちょっとシロ悪いけど先に進んでみてくれない？
いいけど、あの子の居場所を知ってるのは遠坂なんだろ？俺が先に行っても仕方がないと思うわ。
I complain as I enter the forest. Then,
なんだ、ビリッときたぞ。
I pull back my foot. Only felt a shock for an instant. It's not that strong, so it'd hurt more if I hit my foot on the corner of a dresser. Well, in short, it's like a static electricity.
やっぱり識別だけだろうけど森全体に管理が行き届いてるみたいね。
ちょっと待て。それまずいんじゃないのか。要するに防犯ベルに引っかかったってことだろ。なら
Well, it doesn't matter.
別に問題ないんじゃない？私たちは奇襲に来たわけじゃないもの。話し合いに来たんだから、むしろ今からアピールしておいた方が得でしょ？
Yeah.
一応気をつけろよ。ちょっとビリッとくるから。
分かってる分かってる。シロの見てたからどんなものか分かってるって。
She waves her hand and steps into the forest. Then... Whoa! Sokka jumps back with a funny scream. Hear fire hissing. I want to believe it's my imagination that the leaves under Tosaka's feet are scorched.
個人差がある警報みたいだな。俺には挨拶程度だったけど。
I calmly analyze the situation. Fuck. But it doesn't seem like Tosaka is listening to me.
やってくれるじゃないあのガキ。今笑ったの確かに聞こえたんだから。
Tosaka yells into the empty sky. She's so angry that she might go to fight instead of talk. Well, anyway, it seems talking bad about Tosaka is fatal no matter how far away you are from her, so I guess I'll refrain from doing so. We walk in the forest. We're the only people in this vast space. I don't hear any beasts, and the grasses are dead, like corpses. The endless rows of trees make me think this forest goes on forever. It's been 3 hours since we entered. As our surroundings start to blur together,
見つけた。聞いてはいたけど呆れたわ。本気でこんなところにあんなものを建てるなんて。
I follow Tosaka's stare. There's only darkness ahead. Between the trees, there is something unbefitting of these surroundings, visible through a crack so small that you'd miss it if you weren't careful.
なんだあれ。
壁よ。まったくどうかしてるわ。あれ、自分たちの国から丸ごと持ってきたものよ。
Tosaka complains and heads to this strange object we can see in the distance. I still can't tell what it is, so I follow her. We get out of the forest. The endless forest quickly ends. No, it seems like the forest is scooped out here with a big spoon. The sky curving above us is gray. A giant dome. Seems more like an underground kingdom than a clearing. I've seen a lot of nice houses in this series already. This is Ilyasfield's dwelling. An old castle built within the forest. A solitary castle without any visitors, too big for one girl, not to mention too desolate for anyone to live alone in. Anyway, it does no good to be standing here. According to Tosaka, Ilyasfield knows we're here. Then we should go in from the front entrance as a sign that we're not here to fight.
よし行くぞ遠坂って遠坂
Tosaka is looking up at the castle with an alarmed expression. Her face is tense as if she's confronting an enemy.
遠坂気になるもんでもあったのか
私たち以外に誰かいる。
そりゃいるだろう
I don't think that's what she
バーサーカーの
means.
住処なんだ
Uh,
そうじゃなくて、それ以外の誰かってことよ。シロ、こっちから入るわよ。
ちょっとお前
Tosaka starts running towards a big tree by the wall, and I don't have the time to stop her. No, that's not all. She grabs onto a branch and skillfully climbs up. I look up in astonishment. Tosaka looks around and she jumps and kicks at the castle. A shattering sound. The window breaks and the red figure disappears into the castle.
ほら早く。本気でおかしいわよこの城。
もう話し合いをするんじゃなかったのかよ
But what's done is done. I climb up the tree and jump into the second floor window like Tosaka. We enter the hallway. Even before I'm dazzled by the magnificence of the castle, I sense the abnormality Tosaka is talking about. I hear sounds of fighting. Whoa. Swords clashing against each other. But would such a storm-like battle even be possible? Even the most fierce battle of swords, the battle between Berserker and Saber, did not create such sounds. Oh. Then I suddenly realize this isn't the sound of swords clashing. This is one against many. There is literally a war going on somewhere in this castle. One side has to be Ilyasfield, yeah. This is Ilyasfield's castle. There is a battle here. It can only be Berserker attacking the intruding enemy. I run. The sound is coming from below us. Considering the location we came in from, the battle is happening right in the center of the castle, in the guest hall. I run through the unfamiliar castle. This isn't the time to be talking. I don't know what's going on, but something terrible is happening. I run down the stairs. Yes, the fierce battle is happening nearby.
閉めた。ここ広間の吹き抜けに繋がってる。
Tosaka confirms what's down the hallway. Hallway splits at a T-junction, both branches leading to a terrace on either side of the hall.
ここで別れましょう。私はこっちから様子を見るから、シロはそっちからお願い。
It's better to split up. As we are now, we have no way to escape once we're found. There's no point in staying together right now. We don't stand a chance either way. If we're separated, there's hope for the other one to escape, even if one of us is found. Tosaka walks down the hallway facing east. I nod and go down the other hallway, the one heading west.
シロ、
She suddenly calls to me.
分かってるわよ。何が起きようと絶対に手は出さないで。今の私たちに戦う手段はない。いい？やばいと思ったらすぐに逃げるのよ。どちらかが捕まっても構わず走って。誰かを助けるなんて、まず自分を助けてから考えることなんだから。
She suppresses her emotions. Sounds more like a wish than a warning. Ugh. I go around and come out into the terrace. It looks like it looks the same as after Archer fought Berserker. I see Tosaka emerge on the opposite side. She immediately takes cover and then peeks out. As soon as I follow her example, I look down and we both gasp.
シンジなんだってあいつ
What?
こんなところに
Shinji stands atop the rubble in the corner of the room, happily watching the scene. No! That's not the surprising thing. What I have to accept right now is in the battle Shinji is observing. I guess it was an archer. I just wasn't right about which one. The black giant lets out a roar. The swinging axe sword blows up dust and grinds the rubble into powder. The Mad Warrior appears no different from before. No, his dreadful roar is louder now. Ah. Your own light is behind the giant. Berserker's master, Iliasfield. An ever-smiling girl, unsuited for murder, but that girl is now shivering and watching her servant with a face almost to tears. No! Her pale face is desperately trying to deny the despair in front of her. Someone help me. The girl's trembling lips mouth these words. A storming whirlwind. Berserker's axe sword is repelled each time by that noble phantasm of one. Just show him already, god damn it! The one reigning from the throne of rubble in the center of the hall. Casual Gilgamesh. Oh no! Many swords are released. Not casual Gilgamesh. Each one of the weapons appearing from behind the man would cause certain death. They attack. They are like gushing water. The infinite noble phantasm not only repel Berserker's axe sword, but pierce his body. Pieces are blown from his body. The sword cuts through his body, penetrates his skull, and pierces his heart. Still does not die. The giant regenerates every time he is killed, slowly but surely moving forward. 8 times already. He's been killed so many times. Berserker still moves forward. How many was it that Archer did? I'm gonna have to look that up. The enemy greets him with a smile. The tragedy continues. Berserker is killed without even being able to go near the enemy.
Buck.
It's not because Berserker is getting killed without being able to do anything. That man, that servant, is beyond belief. The infinite noble phantasms he sends out are each a true noble phantasm. I can tell since I've projected Archer's swords. They are the originals of every noble phantasm. The first ones from before they became noble. Who could he be having infinite supply of such weapons? Now, first of all, there should only be 7 servants. When he is the 8th one? Someone that shouldn't exist? I can't breathe. Berserker defies description. His body is steel and his superhuman strength and his regenerative powers. On top of that, he's not someone you can match. But the 8th servant does not retreat from such an opponent and overwhelms Berserker using the demonic sword and the holy swords he needs. When I look up, I can see that Tasaka is pale as well. It's only natural. The place below us is a land of death. We'll die instantly if we enter it. No, more than that. He is a demon. He has brutality different from Berserker. That man wishes for battle only to kill others. But with such an enemy in front of him, the Black Giant is still the strongest. He does not stop even if he is pierced or slashed all over his body. He receives the rain of noble phantasms, regenerates each time, and closes in on his enemy. It is an advance devoid of tactics. He's not thinking about countering the enemy's attacks. It is a savage fight where he advances on his enemy as long as he still lives. He will not reach the enemy. Berserker's brute courage will prove futile, and he will end his life as a mere target. The enemy understands that. That is why he is standing there and provoking the foolishly advancing shot. The Black Giant does not have a way to win. It's something the enemy and even I understand. And probably, even Berserker himself knows that. But the Giant keeps walking forward. He knows no retreat, does not avoid the attacks. The man greets the figure with a smile.
所詮はバーサーカー戦うだけのものであったか同じ半身として期待していたが今日もやそこまでアホとはな
Dog shit. The noble phantasms emerge from space. Letting out a laugh, he readies the noble phantasms behind him.
ではそろそろ引導を渡してやろう
At his signal, the numerous noble phantasms descend on the giant. The giant repels most of them, and at the same time, loses most of his life. The Black Giant shakes. The body of rock starts to fall, but the giant stands his ground and shakes the noble phantasms from his body. The exclamation of surprise comes from the strange servant. Oh! The Black Giant destroys the swarm of noble phantasm and moves towards his enemy. His body is dying already. With a hopeless, fatal wound, the giant still advances. It is the result of a strong will. It is not madness resulting from being a berserker. The giant faces the hopeless fight with an iron will.
でかいだけの的が未だ形をとどめるか
The magical bullets are fired mercilessly. Repelling it with his axe sword, the giant corners the man with his body and slashed with his limb pierced. Oh, hold on. Repelling it with his axe sword, the giant corners the man with his body slashed and his limbs pierced. He will not reach the man, but he still challenges the man because there is something he cannot give up. Then what is he moving forward for? Servants fight for their masters, protect the master's life. That is why the giant does not retreat. He can only move forward as a shield to protect the frightened master behind him. The giant continues his foolish advance. It is because he knows that he needs to take all the attacks in order to beat the servant without having his master killed. When he reaches his enemy, that is when he wins. From the beginning, that has been the battle nature. The man has to kill the giant before he reaches him. The giant has to approach the man before his life ends. It is a battle where the one accomplish their goal is the one to win. The giant is aware of that, even if it is a battle with no hope of victory from the start. He roars. Coming out of his 10th death, his body explodes forward. He charges into the man like a bull, challenging a matador. Numerous arrows are released. Was it his last charge, or did he get used to the attack? The giant repels all the arrows. He approaches the owner of the noble phantasm. He swings his axe sword. The weapon has not yet been raised against the man, ripped through the air.
りよ
The Black Bull is captured by numerous appearing chains. What kind of noble phantasm is it? The chains that appeared out of nowhere confined Berserker as if binding space itself. That is pretty good. I can do this. The chains twist Berserker's arms and bends them in a direction they should not go. The chains tighten mercilessly, trying to tear off the rock-like head.
これでも死なぬかかつて天の王子すら束縛した鎖だがお前を仕留めるには至らぬらしい
Man's voice. The hall is filled with the creaking sounds of the chain. It must be Berserker's power. The giant tries to break the chain that binds even space itself. Even if it sounds impossible, I'm sure the giant will be able to manage it. And the man acknowledges that as well. The girl screams. Iliasfield commands Berserker to retreat using her command spell. But the giant is still bound by chains, unable to move an inch.
なんで私の中に帰れって言ったのにどうして
無駄だ人形この鎖につながれた者はたとえ神であろうと逃れることはできんいいな神性が高ければ高いほど餌食となるもとより神を律するためだけに作られたもの霊樹による空間転移などこの俺が許すものか
And so, man points to the giant as if to denote the end. As an astonished girl's voice. Oh, fuck. Oh my fucking god. It's over. It really ends. Bound by chains, he receives 22 noble phantasms on his defenseless body. The black giant falls silent, becoming a grotesque object. I don't even need to check if he's alive or not. Even if he's a great hero that overcame 10 deaths, he should not be able to get up after receiving 20. Yes. Even if he is still alive, he should not even have the power to breathe. And the battle ends. It was known from the start who was going to win. Berserker cannot beat that servant. No, servants cannot beat that man as long as they are heroic spirits. All heroic spirits have things they are weak against when they were alive. Those are the greatest weak points. Then, what if there is a hero who possesses all of the noble phantasms, even the ones that killed each hero? This is the result. Even if he may have been the strongest, he cannot beat that man. The girl in white runs to the giant's corpse. Oh, seeing it. The man mercilessly slashes the girl with the sword in his hand. Oh. A scream. The man slashes her eyes in one blow. And he pierces her heart. But it misses. No, he made it miss. The girl is pierced in her lung and coughs up blood. The chains are broken. Red unintelligible text. It's shattering his binds. The black giant charges at the man. The man pierces the slow-moving target. A lance to pierce the heart. He impales the giant with a lance similar to Gable. That's it. The black giant dies for sure this time. Sword is pulled from the girl, leaving traces of red. The girl crawls to the unmoving giant. Watching it in delight, the man walks forward. This is so fucked. He throws down his sword. He will use his bare hand to finish off the dying girl. I'll die. Oh, I'll probably die. I will surely die this time. There is no logic behind that servant. He will kill anyone that hinders him. I will surely be killed if I don't get away from here before he finds me. And I